thank you for joining us today. A very warm welcome to our distinguished panelists, Mrs. Seema Sapru, Mrs. Moshmi Banerjee, Payal Malhotra, and our very own Ms. Suman Ma'am, Suman Sood. Welcome to ECA Kolkata chapter's first webinar. Childhood Education, a non-profit body registered with the intention of bringing together professionals in the field of early childhood education in the interest of the young child. This association has 42 territories all over India, and all the stakeholders, teachers, media, parents, experts, and more, so that the childhood years can be enriched. I am your host for today, Swati Saraugi, the territory head of ECA Kolkata chapter and the founder director of Swarnim International School. Topic for today is what we are here to discuss: adapting teaching and learning to current times. On our panel today, we have three ladies who have been serving in education for, four ladies who've been serving in education for close to 3 decades. All our panelists have very impressive achievements. So I will introduce only those areas of theirs which pertain to early childhood and education. Mrs. Seema Sapru, ma'am, are you here?
Yeah, she was there.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
I muted myself after Suman had requested us to.
Sure. Mrs. Sapru joined the Heritage School in 2007 and is on the advisory board of various educational organizations. She is the master trainer for chemistry approved by the CISCE, New Delhi. She has been awarded Principal of the Year India by India Today and EduComp. Welcome, ma'am, and thank you for being here. Mrs. Moshmi Banerjee is the founder principal of Future Campus School, Garhia, Kolkata, a trainer for British Council and an assessor and mentor for the ISA Awards, a master trainer for CBSE, resource person for various workshops, a recipient of the prestigious Aristotle Award. He is licensed, part of the core committee of the Kolkata chapter. Welcome, ma'am. Are you here?
Yes, hi, yeah.
Okay.
Moshmi, your video is off. Please, can you switch it on?
My God, now. Yeah, can you see me?
There.
Okay. Now we can.
Hi.
Hello.
Good to see you all dressed up.
Made some effort.
We have with us Ms. Payal Malhotra. She is a microbiologist by training and an editor by choice. She works with educators and students to create strategies and products that help make learning a rewarding experience.
Payal was there. Where is the one now?
Can we request all audience to please be on mute?
Yeah.
Mute yourselves.
Can you please mute your microphones? Swati, please tell everyone to mute the microphones.
Swati, you can mute it from your side. Just go to the distinct site and mute everybody.
Exactly.
The host, you can mute everybody. Go on the right side.
Right hand side, yes.
There you'll find in that mode those 3 dots. Mute everybody there. You'll get an option over there. No, you can't find.
Where you can see more.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can click on that more even there.
Okay.
So coming back to Ms. Payal Malhotra, she is the head of training in Scholastic and is doing a fantastic job in creating and adapting curriculum to the current times. And Mrs. Suman Sood is the former director principal of Mongrace Montessori House, presently the director of BD Memorial. She started the ECA Kolkata chapter under the mentorship of Dr. Swati Popatwats And now as the National Core Committee member, she is mentoring Kolkata, Kerala, Orissa, ECA territories. She is also working in a variety of socio-economic settings, such as British Council School Ambassador and many, many more. Like I said earlier, each of these panelists is so accomplished that it took me a long time to sift through their things and see what is relevant for us. We will ask all of them to share their views for about 5 minutes, and then we will open the floor to questions from the audience. We'll request the audience to be in mute during the session, and please type your question on the right-hand side in the chat and mention who it is addressed to if you have somebody specific in mind. So are we ready to begin, panelists?
Yes.
Yes. You can of course unmute yourself when you want to, when you're speaking. So Seema ma'am, should we begin with you? Okay,
Fine. You want me to start?
please ma'am. Earlier phones were not allowed inside the school, and now the school is inside the phone. So your views on this, please.
I thought you'd given me 5 minutes to just speak on my own, and
Please.
then you would ask me questions.
Sure.
So anyway, I'll start with that. Well, yes, phones weren't allowed in schools, and today we are in fact encouraging children to only depend on phones. So that's the irony of the situation as of today. But I thought all of us are experimenting something or the other in schools, and we're trying to demonstrate that learning as to how these things, whatever new things we are implementing in schools, what the outcome would be, we do not know as of now. Only thing is, I was just, since you'd asked us to speak for 2 minutes, so I was thinking about two things, and I thought these two, sayings. One is survival of the fittest. So when we talk about survival of the fittest, I thought right now it is not survival of the fittest, it's going to be survival of the quickest.
Mm-hmm.
Because the quicker you are to adapt to new ways of learning, the better you are equipped to, learn new things in these times. Second thing that I learned was, is talking about was, necessity is the mother of all inventions. So these days, I cannot begin to tell you how many different ways I've learned to wash clothes, how many different ways I've learned to wash my dishes, in 10 different ways, in easier ways, in ironing clothes, in mopping the floor, and how many different ways I have invented to engage my husband into helping me out with these things. So necessity is definitely the mother of invention. So trying to, find out ways and means as to how to train people and how to nurture this learning. We every day we've been trying new things. The first thing that we tried was, everybody told us Zoom was very, very good. And we did try Zoom, and I understand Zoom is absolutely brilliant. But then there were certain privacy issues, and people said you shouldn't try this. So we went to Microsoft. So we started doing Microsoft Meet. After that, Microsoft Teams, we switched to Google Meet. So we've been switching from one thing to the other. But the one thing that I realized was there were a whole lot of things that I've written down also, since I was talking about this, as to what are the things that we are noticing among children and the parents these days when we talk about the screen time for children. First thing is, we thought that Instagram was profane and using Facebook was sacrilegious for these children, and we would give them long lessons as to why not use social media and all that. At the same time, we also realize that there's too much of screen time. There's non-availability of electronic gadgets and devices at home. If there are two parents, both parents are working, and if there are two children or one child, so unless you have 3 gadgets at home and each device to be free to be used by the child or by the parent throughout the day, it's becoming very difficult. Secondly, we realize that there is intermittent internet connectivity. So it's not that, if there are 100 children participating. Now here also you'll realize some of them will have to mute their mic, some will have to stop their video. Otherwise, the connectivity, they lose connectivity. So even if 90% of the children get to learn, 10% of the children definitely don't get to learn because there's no connectivity. Another part that we saw was the absence of domestic help. So most of the parents are busy doing a lot of domestic work, because of which, to stay with their children, and especially since we're talking about early childhood, children cannot on their own. In fact, even if they can, we shouldn't allow them on their own to use these gadgets, because access to certain sites which may not be visible, which may not be age appropriate, they may start looking at those sites also. So the presence of the parents is definitely required at all times. These children, in any case, for technical issues also, you will realize that you need the parental support, because every time they can't hear or somebody has to mute, unmute, whatever. So all these things keep happening. Apart from that, we've got to be flexible. Let's accept it. We've got to understand that at this point of time, if we think that, it's wishful thinking. For me, it is wishful thinking that children won't be able to learn without teachers. They need mentors, they need hand holding, they need everybody. Then we'll never be able to do anything without coaches, without mentors. Now, this is a little bit of a conceit amongst us, but at the same time, I don't know how many of you, or maybe most of you, must have heard about Dr. Shogata Mitra, A Hole in the Wall. Have you heard about it? So this gentleman proved beyond doubt that children learn on their own, and children learn from each other, and children don't need adult supervision, and they don't need teachers. So he'd gone and fixed, televisions and computers everywhere in slums in Kalkaji and in the US, everywhere. And he realized children in 5 days and 6 days and 3 months, they could speak the way people were speaking. The presenters were speaking on the computer. So let's accept it that we are, nobody's indispensable. And so we've got to think about various ways and means to make sure that we survive. And we as teachers, schools continue, and that's it. So, and as far as usage of phones is concerned, well, we will have to switch from from school, going to school every day, to maybe working on the screen all through the day. In fact, I would like to put up a question before people can put up a question to me. How do we, after the school start, do we open school only twice a week? Do we only open school for, one class per day so that we can observe social distancing? How do we start the schools once again? How does the staff come to school? Do they, people who are coming by bus, there's going to be no local buses, local trains are not going to be there. How do they reach the teachers, staff, students, teachers? I mean, how do we go about it again? I mean, I don't know. We have no answers. So it's going to be post-corona situation is going to be a different world, and we've got to learn to live in this world.
Absolutely. And if I remember correctly, ma'am, you had done a session earlier on VUCA, on the volatile, uncertainty,
Yes.
changing times that we are
On, yes.
Yes.
Complex and ambiguity, yes.
And that's exactly what we are in right now. So we don't have all the
Yes.
answers, but we only have to keep learning and trying the best that we can and adapting. Thank you so much. Moving on.
You're welcome.
Moving on. Of course, we will open to questions from the audience in a bit. Moushmi ma'am, as teachers, we are always worried about learning outcome. What is the most important learning outcomes we think we can expect in this period? Please feel free to answer this or anything else that you'd like to share with our audience.
Yeah, I mean, hi everybody, and thank you, Seema. Of course, it's
Hi,
a very
Vaishnavi.
time and we are reinventing. I think that is the main thing, that not only us as teachers but also students. You know, as Seema was saying, that there are so many things that while we put up the online classes, there can be disturbances, you know, of net. So I think one thing is that to engage, since we are talking about 0 to 6, we have to engage the children. Now, how do we engage the children? The main thing is that the teacher's body language, voice modulation, and to start with a story. We can start with any story, and you know, with the object which Swati ma'am was showing yesterday. So I think that kind of first gets their attention, and then you know, you can proceed on. Also, when we talk about their motor skills, you know, when we are talking about developing those, because they are small, they are learning to write, there's so many things that are at home. But before that, I think we need to address the parents, you know, about certain etiquette, certain the way that the parent has to behave, and what is it like we do for a orientation. When we do, we tell them what is the norm of the school. So this is new to everybody, to us, to the parents, to the students. So I think we have to also jot down certain do's and don'ts, and what is the etiquette, what, how they should behave. And also tell parents, I know they're working parents, but this is the best time, 24/7 they're with the child, and for so long, I don't know for how long, and maybe in years to come they won't find this time. So I think developing certain skill as they do their household chores, like, you know, you give them 2 kinds of chana and say that quickly, you know, divide it, the children get interested, they can do it, and they can reinvent themselves in many other way. You take musud dal and say, okay, keep drawing lines. So, you know, your standing line or your sleeping line, or just write A or just write B, and you're doing your work and you're getting the child to be engaged. The teacher can tell how to do that with the parents, or the dough which we keep talking about. Everybody's making rotis at home. Just put a little bit to them and say, now make your own dough. I'll give you the rolling pin. I think engaging them is very important, because this time, you know, if we go without learning, once things get normal, get them back to learning, it's going to be a challenge for all of us as educators. I think another thing very important when we talk to parents or children is respect. Somewhere, you know, this WhatsApp group, how teachers are talking, you know, they're discussing, and it's coming back, which we've been reading in the papers and in different, I think that is very important, that today the kind of, I think we are thrown into the teachers are also in the corona warrior zone, dealing with children, maybe not upfront, but with children. So I think that respect needs to be there by parents, that there's so much that the teachers are also doing, you know, drawing up lessons. They have not done such things online, presenting them, getting that time out of their family. Nobody has maids now. So I think that, and not to talk about, you know, peripheral things, which is not important. Another thing is that, you know, creating new things. I saw innovativeness is the need of the hour, and interacting. Interactions are very important. How we do it, our body language, we need to, I think there was one question which really caught that, if a child is fidgety or not listening, or how do you do it? You can't tell them, you know, it's they can just move out. So you have to just engage them. And another thing I was thinking, how to get them engaged and how children will remember, if one day we just tell parents, dress them as any flower or any fruit, and the children are all sitting as apple, oranges, and over there we do a game, you know, and we play a game and learning happens. I think these we can do till 6 years, and it will be challenging. Also tell parents that, you know, the simple thing, when we sweep we go forward, when we mop we go backwards. So if they teach that with the child, and they just write 1 2 3 4 5, and you sweep and you go to 5, but when you're mopping you can't, from 5 you have to come back. So there's so many concepts that you can teach there, your before, after, ascend, descend. So I think we have to really reinvent a lot of things. Board games, which actually has made a way, you can get them down. I think parents can spend time with the children, because teachers are there for some time for these 0 to 6 years. I'm just emphasizing on that, since it's early childhood. What about the rest? The parents have to engage. You know, we can play those name, place, animal thing, you know, verbally. There are certain memory games. We just put certain vegetable and say, okay, see, can you identify? Now tell me. So there is a interaction at every point. I think if we do this, you know, one is be interactive, one is have respect what we are doing, and of course reinventing yourself with innovative ideas. I think we can achieve something when this open. As Seema said, we really don't know when we'll get back to normal situation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Miss Payal, please let's hear your views. Miss Payal,
Yeah.
are you here?
Yes, yes, I'm here and I hope all of you can hear me.
Yes, she's trained and mentored school teachers across India. So it's very interesting what
Yeah.
what your message
Yeah.
to teachers is going to be.
So, I'm glad both Moshmi ma'am and Seema ma'am brought about the idea of how children learn. And you know, I was reading somewhere that children learn through play, but more importantly, in play, children learn how to learn. But unfortunately, in these trying times, children are not in their regular school environment, and they are not learning how to learn from each other or from their environment. So learning has been restricted. I wouldn't say that learning has stopped, but learning has been restricted. But you know, we are all here, and we need to make the most of it. I'm going to be talking about the three important stakeholders in in the whole process of a preschooler. Main stakeholders means, of course, the child, the parent, and the teacher. If I have to start with the child, I think the most important for a preschooler is the routine and the connect or contact with his peers or with his teachers. And I think most important, teachers and schools have to recognize that at this time it is not important to drill down worksheet after worksheet or skill after skill. It is more important to give the child a sense of regularity, a sense of routine, and some structure in his daily in his day-to-day work. So I think the curriculum that has to be drafted by the teachers has to be really drafted with care. And teachers have to, they might even have to have their classes as a small group instruction, because I know that sometimes when 15 children log on to a classroom, if the teacher's attention is all over, the children are all over because they are preschoolers. So maybe an alternate could be to have a small group instruction, and the teacher just handles about 6 to 8 children, so that she can give individual attention to all the children, and she can call the children by their name, thus adding to the connect and the warmth. I also understand that this, in most schools, this was the time that a fresh batch of children come into their classrooms. So for them, the teachers are new. For them, the peer atmosphere is new. So it's very important to maybe divide the class into small groups, and the teacher leads them, teaches them in small groups. Also, their attention spans are very, very low for preschoolers. So obviously, like Moshmi ma'am said, using puppets and props and just getting the kids' attention back. One very, very effective way of dealing with preschoolers and getting them engaged onto content is to maybe start out with a poem or with a short video, and then just do a circle time reflection questions. I know there is no worksheet here, there is no handwriting practice, there is no number work, but at least you are getting the children to talk about what they have felt about the video, or what their internal response or reflection is. So that could be something that teachers can experiment with. Of course, show and tell, I think, works wonders. The small children can actually come up with something that they have made. It could be anything from if they have a new toy, or if they've read a new book, or if if their mothers made something nice to eat, they could just share about that. And I think the whole idea here is to get them talking and to get them to communicate, so that the teacher can listen and establish that connect with the child. So those are some of the ideas that we can do with children, and I'm sure all of you are teachers and experienced ones. How to get the teachers, how to get the kids excited about learning. Most children at this age are kinesthetic learners. They love to dance and jump, and movement is an important part of preschool. So another great idea could be to start the class with a few stretches, or start the class with a few jumps or a little dance. And that's how you just establish that rapport, and you start the class on a very, very happy note. So that's about the child. When it comes to parents, I totally agree with Maushami ma'am that parents need to be educated. It is extremely, it's a very, very new environment for them, as to how learning is happening. They have never even they've never seen or even visualized anything like this in their own learning paths. So parents, I think the teachers connect with the parent. I don't know, maybe weekly, fortnightly, but just having like a Zoom session with the parents and say, and telling them about things that were done, and what are the things that they can help with. And like Maushami ma'am said, like fine and gross motor skills, a lot of it can be done from home: kneading, mixing, sorting, matching. And I love the example of the jhadu pocha. I mean, that's excellent. So so those are the things you need to be telling the parents about, and parents are not sometimes aware of these activities. I think another thing that school leaders and teachers can do is talk to the parents about the importance of storytelling. The parents have all the time, at least even if they're working post 5:30, they have the time. And there are books, or even if there are no books at home, parents from their own recollection, or get a nani dadi on Zoom and get the children to listen to a story. So storytelling in these times can really serve as real good stress busters. Reading aloud is another thing which parents can engage in, but again, the teachers need to talk to the parents about the importance of read aloud and why it should be done. It should be a daily bedtime activity. So that's for the parents. I think in this whole thing, a huge round of applause for all the teachers who are putting everything aside and putting their heart and soul into bringing learning into the lives of the children. I think that is really commendable. And I was just noticing from my in my locality, the only two I see that people who get up in the morning and are doing stuff is there are doctors who are taking their cars and leaving, and then there are teachers who are my friends who are on Zoom at 7:30, and I don't know who makes their breakfast, who gets their beds in order, but really it's commendable what the whole way that teachers have changed their outlook towards learning. And I think in this whole process, teachers should take care of themselves. Teachers should also be encouraged to take up professional learning. They should not just be doing a lesson after lesson. They should be encouraged to take up professional development. They should be encouraged to learn online. And I think mentors like the principals on this panel, they should take regular some kind of learning. Professional learning should happen. It should not become that the teacher is just giving lesson after lesson, and she needs to be in this climate of comfort where she is able to make her children happy. So these are my 2 bits. I don't know whether that really made sense, but these are really my 2 bits.
No, I think you brought in very pertinent points here. Especially this professional learning, of course, everybody's trying to use their time wisely, and orientation. In fact, Swarnim as a school is doing orientation with the parents very soon, but I love the idea of doing a fortnightly thing, so that are connected. Was the connect?
Right.
Connect is the important keyword here.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great takeaways. We'll come to Suman ma'am, but before we do, there's 8 minutes left, and I'm sure there are going to be a lot of question and answers. So if at all the session ends, we can all log back in using the same password and ID. So just to put that out there. And now, Suman ma'am, over to you for your special comments, please.
Yeah, thank you, Swati. And first of all, I love the background that you are using. Great. Okay, so now Seema ma'am, Maushami, Payal, beautiful insights, because this is what all of us are experiencing, and we are also so new to the situation that we need to learn from each other. We need to find out what works and what doesn't work. So it is all right now a method of trial and error, and we are anxious at the same time. We also want to do our best. We also want to give the children the best. So this online learning that has come in at this time, almost suddenly the classrooms have moved into the living rooms. So this is a situation, a very different situation, and especially I'm going to be talking, from the perspective of early childhood, because for preschools, for early childhood, this is a kind of a contradiction. As earlier, Swati, you had also asked this question to Seema ma'am that, now we used to tell children, don't bring mobiles to school. Now the school is in the mobile phone, right? This is exactly, this is such an indispensable device now for all of us. So we are all living on technology right now. And because of that, we are connected. And because of that, we are having these beautiful, wonderful sessions. So we need not worry too much about screen time at this time. We have been telling parents, we have been telling children that avoid screen time, don't let children have screen time. We've been telling them that, and we know how important experiential learning is. So Seema ma'am mentioned about Dr. Sogato Mitra. Yes, it's true, that hole in the wall is a lovely experiment. But at the same time, we cannot deny the importance of human touch. We cannot deny the importance of teachers. Yes, those children are learning from the hole in the wall. But this importance of hand-holding by the teachers and, for children to experience things that are being taught in an abstract manner, it is very important. But right now, this is the best alternative. We need to do this online learning. We need to connect. As Payal also said, connection is important. It is important that children are able to see their teachers. I was reading somewhere, this one small little boy, when he saw his teacher on the laptop screen, he went and hugged the laptop screen. So imagine the kind of affection that he has, which he's not able to express. And imagine the concern that the child has right now. He's confused. So this confusion, as much as possible, we need to ease it out. And ECA has issued some wonderful guidelines of online learning. So maybe Swati can elaborate a few on those. And one or two things which I can think of is that with due credits to our president, Swati ma'am, so she has formulated all these guidelines. So one of them is that we should be concentrating on life skills rather than learning. It's not academic learning that is important right now. Even if children don't learn A, B, C numbers or whatever they have been learning, the language, from life skills itself, we can learn. As Maushami had also pointed out, there's so many concepts that can be learned in the house through the life skills. So let us concentrate on that as much as possible, online as well as offline learning. Give the guidance to the parents, put up your videos, which we are doing in our school also, in Memorial also, for the primary school children, we are doing that. Teachers are making wonderful videos. Overnight everybody has accepted this challenge, and this is something which is so very commendable. Some of these teachers had not even gone online, and they went online for the first time, and now they are creating such wonderful stuff. They are taking classes, online classes. For the primary section, we are having online classes. So all that is these challenges that have been accepted. This is really wonderful. So we are all learning. And let's hope, we don't know what the future of the preschools is going to be or what the future of education is going to be. As Seema ma'am said, after COVID-19, whether we are going to be having classes daily or whether we are going to be having classes on alternate days, or whether, this will be a total change scenario. So we will just have to wait and see how it works. And maybe this online learning is definitely a part of our lives now. So let's try and make and use the best of it. And one thing I can just give suggestion to the teachers, that just be yourself. Don't try and be somebody else. I know, sometimes we are just taking things from the internet and we try to emulate those. Your children want to see you the way you are. They'll be happy. So the way you have been taking the classes, the same way you take the classes. Of course, there will be disturbances. There will be some learning outcomes may not be as expected, but then that's okay. we need not be perfect right now. We need not worry about that. And I'm sure parents are also understanding. They are also being very cooperative. As far as I know, they are really saying hats off to all the teachers and hats off to all the schools who are doing this, because a little part of the normal routine these children are also getting, and that also is making parents happy. So let us look at it in the best possible and the most positive manner. And good luck to all. And I'm sure there are a lot of questions, so I don't want to waste time talking about this. Thank you so much for all the great panelists, for all the lovely views on behalf of ECA. And over to you, Swati. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. I think Seema ma'am is raising her hand. Do you have a question, ma'am?
Yes, I wanted to ask Ma'am Sood, you know, ma'am, I mean, I'm with you on this because all of us are teachers. So when you said that the teachers can be, you know, just themselves, they can be themselves and they can take the classes as they were taking earlier. But ma'am, the problem is that we see parents sitting there right next to them to try and find out what the teacher is saying with a phone in their hand or some gadget in their hand, to immediately go to the internet to check out what the teacher has said. So, you know, the teachers who were, you know, you could be absolutely yourself and you are very confident of your subject content because you've been doing it for so many years. But, you know, in the classroom, how, you know, a gentle touch or, you know, a joke, you know, would lighten the entire class. And here we have two parents sitting there. It's not one child, but three people sitting there to attend the class. And this is not just for little babies, this is for senior children also, to see what, you know, let us see what kind of English are these teachers speaking, to see what kind of content are they giving, to see whether they're giving us notes or they're copying from somewhere. What are these people doing? So this is what parents have thought about. I mean, I'm not saying that everybody is doing it. Maybe one parent has done that, but you know, your spontaneity is lost in that. It's very sad.
I think, ma'am, since it's one parent who has said that, let's ignore that parent.
Yes, yes.
So, but most of the parents are happy.
Yes, absolutely. Very happy. Agreed.
We need to.
One question we have here is how to engage the uninterested kids in a Zoom session, especially if he or she is cranky or fidgety. Anybody like to try that question? It's not specific.
Repeat it, please.
Yeah. How to engage a fidgety or a cranky child, especially in these Zoom sessions. If a child is naturally always, not always, I mean, the child is fidgety. So how can we engage him?
Seema ma'am, Acha, Mashmi, yes. Yes, Mashmi. No, you are saying.
No, Mashmi, you say.
So, you know, the main thing is that the teacher has to connect, because their attention span is very limited. You know, you call out the name or you show something. See, now we are going to do this. Getting back them into the order, because we have to understand that little children will have limited attention span. They will move, all will be not there, and that's why maybe the parent is sitting so that they'll keep saying, now look at the screen. So we have to get them into it. As I said, that you have to be interactive, call by their name, say that, you know, if we are doing something, if they have some vegetable or fruit in their hand and you say, okay, so apple, can I look at you? And then you call out the name. So it's fun. They are also there. The others will joke. So I think, you know, you have to just, the teacher has to reinvent some way that they keep connecting. As I said, that this is new. So, you know, it's not that we can go around. There's no kinesthetic. It is just audio and visual. You know, it's only V and A. There's no K. So we have to reinvent how that child we can get. After, say, 2 Zoom sessions or online, we know that this child is going to move out. So from before you prepare that, how we animal story, and you say, now the alligator, so and so is the alligator. Alligator, don't run away. Come back. We need you back. You know, I think we just have to improvise ourselves. You know, one thing I'll tell you, that I as a teacher always thought that from where I taught was my stage. And I'm a dramatist and I have to reinvent and keep doing drama so that I get. Teachers are great performers. You have to perform.
Yeah.
True, true, true.
Totally agree. Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
Seema ma'am, would you like to add on to it?
Ma'am, just that I thought if it was possible for teachers to first train the parents and tell them that this is what we're going to be doing in the class and this is what we expect of you to do. I'm on.
No, sorry, ma'am. I was just muting everybody else. Yeah. Please go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, not at all. So I'm just saying that, ma'am, if from the viewpoint of a principal, I mean, in the sense that as a coordinator, as a principal, or as a head of the school, you think about ways and means beyond just one teacher, because there is a possible, what Maushumi is saying is absolutely brilliant. But that could be one teacher in one particular class. She could do that because she is very good at engaging children. But if you want uniformity, you will have to speak to all the coordinators. You will have to get it done through the coordinators to the parents. And if the parents are told in advance, it has to be planned in such a way that the chapter that has to be done after a week, they have to be told about it, that this is what we're going to be doing. And please engage your children in doing this. Your child is going to be alligator, the other child is going to be the tiger, and you have to maybe dress them up like that, or you create a scene, a jungle scene here, or you create some, it's just an idea. We could, you could have puppets, you could do whatever. So this is, I feel then it'll be uniformity among all sections. It won't be individual dependent, that one teacher who's very creative does it and the others don't do it. So it is from the standpoint of as the head of the school, we would like everybody to do it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
And
you.
can I add on from the ECA perspective?
Please do.
From the perspective of early childhood, from young children, I think 100% participation, even if it is not there, let it not there. It doesn't matter, because children are so small. These children are small. They will suddenly get up and they will start doing something else, even though they're saying the teacher, the video is on, but they'll be doing something else. So let us leave it. Let them enjoy. And if parents can also watch this and later on help them and guide them, I think that should be good enough for us.
Yes.
That is my take on early childhood. And of course, I understand the way you have said it is important to involve the parents and for the teachers to do as much as they can to make classes more engaging and interesting.
Absolutely. And again, from the ECA, we have a few suggestions which have been given by Dr. Swati Popat-Vats, our president. And people who may not have heard her webinars, I would suggest you log on to our Facebook page, ECA Facebook page, and see it. There's a brilliant suggestions over there for the early childhood years. Out of those, she mentions giving children household chores, which are of course age dependent, like folding laundry, making the bed, or cleaning up, whatever is possible. Make them part of your daily routine, that they also get a sense of a structured day. Another thing that she says is that ask them to help you with your cooking, because if the child is involved in it, the child will not reject it. Another very useful way. When we think of teaching learning, we tend to think within the box that it has to be academic, but all these activities are really teaching us so much. Like the way Seema ma'am started with how many things she's been learning in this whole process. I think there's so much to learn all along the way. So yes, that it's a never-ending process there.
Excuse me, ma'am, one more thing. Since I was looking at these things, I thought probably you people would already know about this. There are these sites called Cafe Mom and Parents Connect and Famster. Have you heard of these sites?
Not
These are called Cafe Mom, CAFEMOM. So here, whenever these parents, children are there and they need to be connected. So these are sites for parents to connect for their children. And this is only meant for children from 0 to the age of 5. So there are 2-3 of these, sites. If you would like to, know about it, it's called Famster, which is a family strengthening site where they talk to you about, how to go to your grandparents and, how to show your gratitude, how to, sit with them, spend a little time with them. So this is Famster. Then you have Cafe Mom, CAFEMOM. And then there is something called Parent Connect. So these are 3 sites. I'm told they are. You want me to write on the chat?
I have written my already.
Swati ma'am.
Yeah. So Cafe Mom, Famster, and Parent Connect. So these are the 3 sites. I saw them, and somehow I feel whenever I go to these little kids' classrooms, I realize that we underestimate them. They're like sponge. They absorb everything, and we keep thinking that these children don't know anything. But I think the very, very complex scientific science experiments, you talk to them and they understand everything. I mean, Mrs. Sood is one expert in this, and so is Maushumi, and so is Swati, and Miss Payal. I'm not, but whenever I go there, I realize you talk to them about anything and they know so much, and they don't forget it, and they don't need to be told about the heavy words and things like that, and they know everything. They understand it like that.
I think the advantage with working with this age group is that they are naturally curious. And I think in this lockdown period, so to say, I think our role as teachers should be to just, retain that curiosity and not box it in the stress of doing a worksheet or learning how to write or how to, just the structure, mundane things. I think just retaining the curiosity in this period and, so that wonder, that sense of wonder, I think that if a teacher can do, I think it will just be, fabulous.
Any other question?
No, but I've added another site which I thought was very useful. It's called Audible Kids, and they've made all their stories free for all children, and they've got it in different age groups as well. So whoever's listening can go into that, and children would enjoy. Like we spoke about, the importance of stories. The children can listen. Of course, having a grandparent say the story or a parent say the story, nothing comes close to that. But if that's not, at least this option is also there.
Yeah. Also, Swati ma'am, I think Dr. Watts, I think in some of her earlier webinars has also mentioned the free storytelling resources that Scholastic has come up with. So, it'll be nice if you could share those resources with the parents and they can use them. So they are read aloud storybooks, age appropriate, divided into themes. So in case you want to cover the jungle theme, like you were saying, there will be stories on that jungle theme. So, those are some excellent resources that are available during this period for parents and teachers to explore.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Can you send us the links? I can share it with everybody on our ECA group.
Yeah, I will. I think between Devjani and I, somebody will send you the links.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Great.
And I think with that, we should come to a close. We already exceeded our time limit, but since it was so engaging, everybody came back on in, and a very fruitful session. So thank you so much to all of you. A lot of learning here. And I think, I hope we'll see each other again to exchange more ideas, because as times go along, we will come across new challenges, and we really don't know how long this is going to go on. So there will be more learning and more teaching. So with that, a very, very warm thank you from my end.
Yeah.